Fully vaccinated travellers from the United States and the European Union can now visit the UK without having to quarantine.
The relaxation of rules affects people arriving from countries on the UK's amber list, with France the only exception. Well, let's talk now to our correspondent Nawied Jabarkhyl at Heathrow Airport. Nawied, welcome news for the travel industry. How are people reacting?
Yeah, it's actually a bit busier than it has been throughout the pandemic. We've been coming here reporting on stories, and actually you can hear planes coming and going. Within the arrival halls, lots of emotion. As you can imagine, some people haven't seen friends, relatives in the US and other parts of the European Union, in some cases for over 2 years, 3 years, as we've been finding out. But although there is a lot of optimism that this positive step has been taken, the UK government saying reuniting families was a key reason for it, there is still a lot of uncertainty about travel, and that could spell trouble ahead for the wider sector.
Reunited at last. For the first time in months, people from the US and the EU can now come to the UK without the need to quarantine on arrival. Welcome news for the millions potentially impacted.
We got married during the pandemic, and it's really exciting to come here and spend the whole amount of time with him and his family instead of having to sit by myself for a couple weeks.
So last time I was here was kind of Christmas of 2019. So last year I think was a tough year for a lot of people, a lot of families. And I think we're part of like the first wave of US residents coming in with part of the new restrictions being released, which is really exciting.
Very happy, very happy. As you can imagine, coming home after such a long time can be so exciting.
It won't be business as usual, though. Passengers will still need to take a COVID-19 test before departure and another on the second day after arriving. France is currently excluded from the changes, but for London's Heathrow Airport, once the busiest in the world, getting international travel moving again is vital.
Aviation is all about connectivity, and we're a small island nation, we're a trading nation, and yet our air routes have been grounded for the last 18 months. Now, finally, we can start getting back to normal, and in particular connect with the United States, our biggest single trading partner.
The industry says this is a positive move, but it wants things to open up even quicker. Fewer than 1 million passengers passed through Heathrow in June. That's down almost 90% on pre-pandemic levels. Airports and the wider travel sector here want more destinations to have quarantine-free travel when rules are reviewed again this week.
But new watch lists for certain locations will mean travel remains uncertain and likely to put off many people from booking trips. Meanwhile, the economic cost is mounting, with almost 10% of the UK economy dependent on travel and tourism. Chancellor Rishi Sunak is among those pushing for restrictions to ease. But with coronavirus variants previously coming in from abroad and the virus still spreading here, officials say they'll be cautious about moving any quicker.
Naweed, let's talk about the pingdemic. The UK government bowing to business pressure over isolation rules and reprogramming its COVID app to be less sensitive.
Yeah, an interesting change this from the UK government, and clearly reacting to week after week of rising numbers of people having to self-isolate because they've been alerted by an official app, an official health app telling them to do so. The government says now if someone comes into close contact with someone who's tested positive for the virus but they have no symptoms themselves, in the past the way the app worked is if you came into contact for 5 days before the positive test, you would have been notified. They're reducing that now to 2 days. The government says that this is based on, quote, public health advice, and that it doesn't make the app or its guidance any less safe in terms of public health. That's really important to stress. Sajid Javid, the health secretary, said this was also about striking the right balance. And the reason he says that is because businesses have been affected by this quite badly. The latest figures show that almost 700,000 people, 690,000 odd people were pinged by this app telling them to self-isolate, and that's had a huge impact on the economy. It's meant lots of businesses, particularly in the hospitality sector, the other sectors as well, also logistics sector, for example, food industry badly hit by this, and it's something that businesses have been saying for a few weeks now that something needs to be done. It seems that the government has responded now and changed these rules. What that will mean in terms of the impact of the so-called pingdemic and whether whether it means fewer people will be told to isolate and will be able to get back to work. I think the figures will probably be clear in a few weeks' time. Jamie.
Airport bosses saying for life to return to normal, vaccines are the key. The UK government now apparently looking to expand its jabs programme.
Yeah, this another interesting feature from the UK's government. This has been a question that's been asked time and time again. OK, people are double vaccinated, but how long will that protection last, and what happens with booster jabs? Other countries around Europe are also weighing this up. Here in the UK, it's been reported that the government is now looking at rolling them out as soon as September, early September. It could give a third jab of coronavirus vaccines to people here in the UK. Not everyone, though, only those aged over 50 at the moment. They're thought to be given priority. Up to 2,000 pharmacies being prepared for this rollout across the UK, according to the Daily Telegraph, which first broke the story on Sunday. But that still means about 32 million people eligible for a third booster jab, and it comes hot on the heels of more positive news for the UK's vaccine programme. More than 85 million jabs now given out across the UK. 88% of the population has received, of the adult population has received one dose. More than 72% have received two doses. But of course, the pullback and the caveat to that is if so many people are vaccinated, there are calls like those from Heathrow Airport here saying, why isn't more being opened up? Back to you.
Nawied Jabarkhyl in Heathrow Airport in London, thank you.